Good morning and welcome to Talking Point this Thursday morning. My name is Sean Michael Small. Once again, glad to have the important conversations of the day with you. And don't be afraid, today my co-host is with me. But let me just take 2 minutes to once again acknowledge what's going on in Ukraine. What we're going to talk about, particular first topic, is going to continue discussion on the ramifications. And I think it exposes some other issues we have, as well as what was spoken about by Minister of Public Utilities about our water supply problems, and we'll be joined by our commentator later on. But with me, of course, is my esteemed co-host, Mr. Keaton Shah.
Good morning, Sean. Yeah, I see that you enjoyed a cup of coffee this morning before coming on the show.
Well, to be honest, my workday started quite early this morning. I was up since about 2, doing some work in preparation for this morning show. So yes, I'm actually on 2 cups of coffee, believe it or not.
We can tell. Good morning to you, the viewer. Welcome to Talking Point here on WESN, the content capital. Don't worry, I share in your coffee as well this morning. I had a cup myself, so we're all a bit pumped up this morning. Bit of cold weather out as the rain continues. When was the last time you saw the sun?
This has to be one of the most enjoyable for me personally dry seasons that I've had in quite some time. But I'm sure there will be people who are concerned about climate change. What's going on in Ukraine might actually set that back quite a bit. People might not realize just the way how the economy is unfolding and priorities are shifting and energy concerns are shifting. But in the meantime, I will enjoy the cloudy weather and the lack of heat.
Well, lack of heat comes a lot of rain, and speaking about rain which translates into water, those are the 2 topics we'll be focusing on this morning, because the Prime Minister has more or less hinted that very soon they may have to remove the subsidy as it relates to fuel prices here in Trinidad and Tobago. The price of oil and gas globally is going up. Brent hit almost $140 late last week, and up to yesterday we saw it hitting a high of $128 a barrel. So it's a lot of volatility right now within the markets. Ammonia, Sean, has gone up to US $1,000 a ton, which is quite amazing because that translates now into fertilizers and other chemical compounds, which can also affect food. But before we even get further into that topic, another thing that we'll be exploring is WASA, because the Minister of Public Utilities, Marvin Gonzalez, has spoken about it. Furthermore, one thing I'm a little disappointed in, though. I will state it one time. The one little thing, one very minor thing, because I'd like to get it off one time. We constantly hearing about institutionalized corruption within WASA.
Yes.
And we understand that. No problem with that. And to be honest with you, since the beginning of his tenure, I've saluted Marvin Gonzalez because the job that he's doing is not easy by any means. And having to come out in the public and say the things that he's had to say, in itself, he's admitted maybe political suicide, but he's here to get the job done.
I'm not sure about that anymore. But
my
quick.
only issue, Sean, is that I still am yet to hear about the Cabinet Subcommittee report on restructuring WASA that was due to be late last year. And I'm still yet to hear much coming from it, because the Prime Minister himself has told Marvin Gonzalez, make your recommendations.
So hold on to that. Let's go into what the Prime Minister said. I think the immediate concerns right now would be the oil and gas subsidy. That has been hinting for quite some time, and it seems to be a bit more in the short term going to happen or going to hit us because of the price of oil and gas, although apparently oil dropped by 12% today due to certain actions taken by OPEC, taken by the United States and other countries with regards to how they're treating the oil and gas global supply chain issue, with Russia being a major supplier now being sanctioned.
I think OPEC has actually released 60,000 barrels of reserves per day. That's what they do now.
So that is reserves though. But with that said, the Prime Minister, he did have a presentation yesterday where he did go into a lot of detail with regards to the energy sector to try to have context. We condensed it into a 3-minute clip. So let's check out what the Prime Minister had to say.
And it is not that oil is out there to pick up, and we're not picking it up. This is the production level from the fields. We had to be buying oil, crude oil, to refine because we weren't producing it. We were buying approximately 120,000 barrels per day. If the refinery was open and operating now, we would have been paying that $128 a barrel for 128,000 barrels per day to keep the refinery going, guaranteed to lose between $7 and $10 a barrel. And by 2018, there was no subsidy, no shortfall. We confined the subsidy to what was in the fund. The fund had $91 million in it, and we structured in the budget the fuel arrangement so that we only paid out 91 million. That could have only happened because we structured it based on the oil price at the time. You may recall the oil price was low. The oil price was low in 2019. At one day, oil went to $0. Remember that story? So you were able to match the money in the fund with the subsidy because of a low price. When the price is high, that will change. 2019, it moved from 0 in 2018. 2019, the subsidy shortfall which the government paid was 228 million. 2020, 492 million. 2021, 18 million. 2022, 20 million. If the oil price is at $110, the estimated levy would be $509 million. But the subsidy would be $2.9 billion. If it goes up to 125, where it is now in that area, the estimated subsidy would be in the order of $4 billion, and the fund will have in it about $600 million. We are not producing volumes of oil to say our earnings on the volume side would be large enough to provide the cash that you will get from the large volume, high price to put the subsidy. Can the government, or will the government, allow the price of these fuels to jump from $5.75 to $7.58, $4.97 to $7.46, from $3.41 to $6.58? That is a huge shock to the economy. A decision as to how much funding we can find to subsidize, to take some pressure off the population. But the population cannot be insulated completely from oil running at $120, $130, $140 per barrel.
So that was the Prime Minister giving estimates at $100 a barrel. The price without subsidies of fuel more or less dropped by about $2 to $3. The subsidy just to keep diesel, LNG, not premium, not super, just to keep the other fuels subsidized would be about $700 million. So he's asking, where exactly are we going to get this money? Right now, according to the Prime Minister, they would have to take loans to finance just that part of the subsidy. And the other thing, of course, as he warned, is as the price goes way above $100 a barrel, then the subsidy price will go further out of line with what the fund will provide. You're talking $2 to $3 billion, depending.
Now, more or less, what the Prime Minister stated there, just to summarize, is that and as you pointed out, he stated this at US $100 a barrel.
Yeah.
Right now, we're above US $120 a barrel. And if that was the case, if we had a subsidy around that price, or unsubsidized, need I say, around the price of US $100, current fuel prices will actually go up by about $2 each, be it premium, super, diesel. But for me, I know that we could not function any longer, the economy could not function any longer with this subsidy to the extent that it is. But there are two things that come to play here that immediately come to my mind. One is management, right? Or the lack of management thereof. Because we had an idea that the price of oil was not going to stay this low for so long, especially as the COVID-19 pandemic started to fade out a bit and priority began on building back the economy. And I'm not talking about Trinidad and Tobago, I'm talking about globally.
The interesting question is, remember, the price of oil before the pandemic was so low that it actually put us into some serious budgetary problems.
Right. But throughout the pandemic, what we realized is that after all these climate conferences and whatnot, yes, we need to go forward with green energy, but that's not going to be the case for so many years. And that is when you started seeing the conversations going about the price of
everybody
fuel having
knew,
to go, right?
Outside of the general public,
the
people who
issue
know
for
knew
me-
green energy was not anytime soon.
The issue for me with this goes back to management all the time. It goes back to, okay, we can't find the money. Where are we going to find the money? We're going to have to take loans just to continue the subsidy ways. So nobody's saying that it has to continue the way it is, you know. Maybe you need to fund the subsidy partially, not to the extent that it is now. But the reason why I say management is because when you are spending money in other areas that are not essential at this point in time, that are not necessary at this point in time, the problem, Sean, is that as soon as the price of fuel goes up, the price of everything in Trinidad and Tobago
Yes.
goes up. And people, unfortunately, right now, the economy is struggling, but people can't afford this.
Yeah, but here's the problem, right? As much as I don't like the airport in Tobago, the new project at 1.2 billion, at least that's capital expenditure. The problem with this is reoccurring expenditure. And in between 2013 to 2015, for those 3 years, it was something along the lines of 16 billion in fuel subsidies. The original fund or the setup was not designed to deal with our demand now, as well as when you add that to the fact that the energy sector is not earning the same amount of money, particularly the oil part of the sector, but he also warned the natural gas side is not going to be able to compensate even with the higher price of natural gas. So while I understand where, yes, it looks like a management problem, to some extent, this is actually quite similar as
So
well.
what degree is the airports in Tobago capital expenditure if...
Because you're building or something.
No. Yes, I hear you on that. To what degree, to what extent is it capital expenditure if one, we are actually getting funding for that and we have to pay this over so many years to come?
Yeah, but financing doesn't change how you spend the money. Do you spend the money to buy an asset or do you spend the money on
To maintain
variable
it, right?
costs? Because variable costs will continue. It will always continue. So this problem is not so much just, it's similar to what was brought up with NIS, right? And those programs which the systems were not able to maintain. And you could say, well, if we put more in the kitty so that the fund would have had more wiggle room, we would have been better off. But that's multiple governments that did not make that decision. But I think part of it is the reduction in oil production. Maybe they also was difficult to anticipate that or expect that to happen at the same time. Regardless, now we're in a situation, and we don't always have this gas subsidy from what I understand. And the Prime Minister did point out, other countries don't have this subsidy. While the removal of the subsidy will increase the price of gas, that increase, not the increase from the price of oil rising, but that increase will more or less be a one-time shock.
Another issue for me, and again, perhaps we're being devil's advocate, we have to explore this all around. We have to look at all sides of the entire story. It tells me that the government is not expecting any sort of a great income anytime soon. They're not going to see an increase in revenue, just based off what the Prime Minister
Because
said.
he more or less admitted that while there is good news about, well, we found gas here, we might have found gas there, etc., his body language, how we communicated, particularly with the natural gas side, more or less suggested there's no cavalry coming to save the day.
We knew
here.
that was the case. I mean, the Ruby field in itself is not producing. I think the Ruby field right now is only producing a quarter of what they actually expected it to produce.
Right.
And LNG, well, let's not even get into that debate right now.
Right.
But they're not expecting a great increase in revenue anytime soon. So that alone tells you. So again, the budget from last year, when we have the mid-year budget review, I look forward to that, especially knowing over the last couple of weeks the price of oil and gas, how that's gone up. But the other issue, when you look at that, the price of oil and gas going up, remember what we're doing now is that we're actually purchasing oil.
Yes.
And importing it.
Yes.
Right? And even though we may be purchasing just about 16,000 barrels a day.
And I think that's part of the problem. The subsidy was at a time when we might not have been doing that.
No, we were refining.
Right? So I mean, I'm not sure what the technicalities of how our energy industry works, but at the end of the day, at 200 plus barrels of refined oil a day, we would have had the revenue stream at least, even if we were importing the gas, the gasoline for the cars, the refined oil going out would have been,
And this
would
is
have made up for
where
it.
I go back to management. Because shutting down...
Well-
hold on. It ties into a whole story, and I don't
Yeah,
want to
but
get too coarse.
But didn't you hear what he said? The refinery was losing money per barrel.
Right. This is where I go back to the refinery. Yes, the refinery is losing money per barrel. The refinery in itself would have been a beautiful idea right now if it was functioning efficiently. But as with the case of Trinidad and Tobago, as with the history of Trinidad and Tobago will show, is that as soon as something stops producing some sort of income, some sort of profit, as soon as we have poor management, as soon as we have wastage, we never actually look at fixing it. You know, we never find a solution. In fact, our way of dealing with it is shutting it down and hopefully finding something else.
Now, here's the problem though, and we're going to explore this as well at WASA. I don't know if we had the resources to try and fix the problem by that point. It would have taken a lot of effort, both on the government and on the union, as well as the company itself, to try and solve the problem. Because we're not talking about, you know, a little bit of money lost every month. We're talking $7 for 120,000 barrels. That's not small money. We could not have waited that out at the time.
Let me give you a prime example. All right, and I know that people are going to make the argument, well, that's the industry standards and whatnot. And it's very difficult. But when I look at, since we talk about recurrence expenditures, when I look at the salaries earned by the executives within that framework, that in itself tells me, hold on, whoa, right? But okay, fine, standards, right? Industry standards. You make a point about the unions. And I think this is something we were debating yesterday as well off air in relation to that. The government listened to unions for so long. The government, they say we tried to
I
work with unions for so long.
I say gave in.
Right?
They gave in to unions.
Oh God, listening.
They were cowardly when they gave in.
Exactly. 2 years that happened. 2 years that didn't work. I don't know. So it tells me that the government really had, from the beginning, the plan was to shut down Petrotrin.
I won't agree with that.
Initially, okay, we're going to see what we can do. 2 years pass. You know what? This is not working. We're going to shut it down. Unions protested and whatnot. This is the problem for me. If you had taken those 2 years to actually try and solve the issues within Petrotrin, then I could understand, okay, hold on. Then I could understand if after those 2 years, we actually worked on resolving some of these issues, on trying to fixing the company. That didn't work, so we have to shut down.
That works in a vacuum. But at the time, Petrotrin was not the only part of the national economy and the public sector that was losing us money or was being a significant drain in the
Sean,
treasury.
we understand
No.
we know that, Sean.
Let's put it this way. We still don't have enough money to meet our day-to-day expenses comfortably. We know this because
and why is
there are
that?
shortfalls. Hold on. There are shortfalls everywhere. Those shortfalls existed probably from since 2018, maybe even beyond, right? Basically, I heard of rumors that Gate was more or less going to be kaput before Gate even started to say anything
We had
about
an idea
being
about
kaput.
that already.
Right. And that was just one thing. There were rumors of Petrotrin, rumors of WASA, etc. So, yes, it's nice to say we could try to fix it. Look how long it took to try to fix WASA. In the meantime, you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars having to be spent, similar to what's going on with WASA now, to keep that open. Meanwhile, Tobago was in distress because the ferry service collapsed, as well as other situations. I mean, TNTech was in trouble. They need $1 billion a year. WASA was in trouble from since then.
So based off of your argument, Sean, just based off of your argument, does that mean we're shutting down WASA and TNTech as well?
Well,
what's the solution?
First, again,
or let me go back to Petrotrin. What was the solution to Petrotrin?
At the time, there were too many problems and not enough money, because we still have too many problems and not enough money.
So do you think the right decision was taken with Petrotrin?
Generally, yes.
You think so?
I think so.
And is that now working out in our favor?
You see, the question is not if we should have shut down Petrotrin. The question that you have to ask
But I
first
just
is,
asked you if...
the question that you have to ask first is why were we making losses exactly per barrel?
You've made
right?
that argument. I asked you whether or not if you think the solution to, if it was the right decision, you said yes, and I'm asking you now.
Generally because of the age of the refinery,
right.
yes.
And I'm asking you now if that is working out for us.
I don't think the refinery would have made that much of a difference for us.
It certainly would have helped in terms of the importation and the cost of importing right now.
I think because there's the technicality of, did we actually make the gas that we put in our cars by that point in time? Something to do with the crude and the quality of the crude. And I don't even know about that, right? But the long and short is, we've had problems with the subsidy before Petrotrin was closed down. 2013 to 2015, $16 billion spent on the subsidy in those 3 years. Several $billions a year. The refinery is operating then. The refinery did not save us billions of dollars then. So I don't really see how the refinery is going to save us on the subsidy now.
As I said, I acknowledge the fact, especially when we had the conversation with Dr. Roger Hossain yesterday, I acknowledge the fact that yes, we couldn't continue with the subsidy to the extent that it is now. Because yes, you have so many varying factors. The markets are volatile and whatnot. I think though, in my opinion, that if we could have somehow found a solution, I think the solution, as I said, history shows but that the solution to solving things is shutting it down.
But okay, so where did you go to first? You went to salaries first. Whether it's the executive, the government-appointed board, whoever, you went to salaries first.
I didn't go to that first. I use that as an example of what I'm seeing now.
That was your example.
Of what I'm seeing now.
Which union has agreed to put salaries in line with industry standards,
sir,
or based on merit?
Sir, you asking...
Which public sector union?
You asking Keaton Shaw. You're asking Keaton Shaw. You're asking me to talk about unions in that light? Hello, I'm the one that has always argued that we have given in and we've listened to the unions for too long.
Right, so my point is, how do we expect the government, because the unions didn't want to negotiate in 2018 or 2016, they didn't want to negotiate. They only wanted to negotiate in 2018 when the government said, since you don't want to negotiate, we're going to shut it down.
Then in the first
and I would challenge anybody that says we're going to fix it.
In the first instance, and that has often been our problem, in the first instance, the governments, not government, the governments should have had the testicular fortitude to stand up to the unions and say, you're not working for Trinidad and Tobago, we need to sort this out, we need to do it. But no, we give it to you for 2 years and then we shut it down.
I'll just say, look at COVID. The unions cried and people believe them. But look, we have to end this here because we're going to run out of time. In that, we do agree. The government's giving to the unions too much. When we come back, we're going to go into WASA, the other side of this coin. Stay tuned. You're watching Talking Point on WESN, your content capital. Catch the playoffs and the finals of the Dream 11 cricket tournament on Friday from 11 a.m. only on WESN Content Capital, your home for cricket.
Gift giving during a lockdown can still be hassle-free with a gift from FanZone with delivery options available nationwide. Visit and browse our Facebook and Instagram pages for all your official licensed merchandise and apparel and have it delivered to your door. Find us on Facebook and Instagram. FanZone, we've got you covered.
The best for your baby is at thebesttoys.com. From the best strollers, car seats, baby carriers, high chairs, booster seats, rockers, jumpers and bouncers, walkers, baby blankets, feeding accessories, bathtubs. Visit us in-store at Forces Flagship McLean. Shop online now at thebesttoys.com. Order via call or WhatsApp at 332-BABY. And remember, we have the best toys at the best prices.
People really want to know, what about me? Where do I fit? Yes. What is in the ride for me in terms of a better Trinidad and Tobago? And I'm pleased to shed some light on that.
The purpose of bail is to ensure your attendance at court. That's it. It is not punitive. It is not rehabilitative.
We, the police officers, we are professional And we are here for whenever the survivor is ready to come forward.
We have the right to private and family life, the right to religious freedoms and beliefs and thoughts and expression. But these rights are not absolute. Certain rights can be limited.
The law is to govern the whole, it's for all of us in public.
Join me, Sule A. Joseph, as I delve into the day-to-day psychological issues plaguing our society. We will discuss behaviors that encompass the biological influences, social pressures, and environmental factors that affect how you think, act, and feel. Sight, Thursdays at 11:30 a.m., only on WESN, Content Capital. Catch the playoffs and the finals of the Dream 11 cricket tournament on Friday from 11 a.m. only on WESN Content Capital, your home for cricket.
Mandated us to meet with the unions representing WASA workers, and today we had a very successful meeting, a very positive meeting, Prime Minister. And as a matter of fact, after a 3/4 hour presentation, one of the union leader, he looked at us and he was like, the people of Trinidad and Tobago are still very fortunate to be having water flowing through their taps, because the situation is really bad. Quite frankly, I started doubting every piece of advice that I was getting from WASA, because I realized, I'll be very frank, if you go in there blindly and you're foolish, they will mislead you, because it is institutional corruption and corruption and mismanagement at a level that the people of Trinidad and Tobago facing the consequences of not having an efficient water supply. Most of those booster stations, they do not have standby pumps. WASA is not engaged in preventative maintenance, so those pumps are breaking down every single day. And when they break down, they go to a store in St. Joseph and they stay there for weeks and months. And if the minister doesn't call and ask why the pump, Mr. Nobrega will tell you, 4 o'clock in the morning, we have to be calling and asking for pumps to be installed. But whilst the plant is producing water there, the infrastructure is so terrible. And because you don't have standby pumps in place, communities go for weeks and months without water. North Oropouche Water Treatment Plant is responsible for providing Sangre Grande with 10 million gallons of water on a daily basis. And then the remainder of the water, 10 million imperial million gallons of water, had to be shared along the east-west corridor straight down to in Maloney and Piaco and Five Rivers. But yet still you have a plant still producing 20 million gallons of water, all kinds of developments taking place in Sangre Grande. But a plant is still producing 20 million gallons of water. That's the reason why you have to schedule the water. That's the reason why some communities have to get water 2 days a week and 3 days a week. And the booster station that you have to depend on to get the water up to the highest elevation, they're in a state of disrepair. So it is dysfunction all over.
That is Minister of Public Utilities Marvin Gonzalez basically explaining what he has found with regards to the infrastructure problems of WASA, but also with regards to the supply problems he was pointing out. This was just one example that he gave. North Oropouche has 20 million in supply, but half has to be diverted to Sangre Grande. And he will go on further to explain why that is present in a moment. But I just want to, we were talking about the unions when we left off, we were talking about trying to fix the problem. Now, the Minister of Public Utilities, we have been waiting on him for almost a year now with regards to his plans for WASA. He is now finally putting forward something. We'll hear what some of the plans are moving forward. But what do you make of his comments so far with regards to the institutional corruption of the Water and Sewage Authority?
Absolutely nothing new. It's not news to me, and it's not news to the nation. And again, I from the beginning, when I looked at Marvin Gonzalez in his role and his position, I thought this man is brave. He himself said political suicide, but what he stated there is absolutely nothing new. So in my opinion, you're coming to the population once more, repeating the same jive that you have over the last year or so, and now saying that you're going to get something done. And the issue for me is great, all well and good. I want something to be done. I want things to operate efficiently. I want things to have some sort of effect where people in Trinidad and Tobago get a good water supply. But the mere fact is we're talking and we're talking and we're talking for how long now? Get it done. I don't want to hear it again. Hold on. What I would have appreciated, two things. One, I want to know where is the Cabinet Subcommittee report on restructuring WASA? Where is it? Why haven't I heard about the findings and the recommendations? Two, I would have appreciated it, and I'm sure the nation would have appreciated it, if you came out and you said, well, you know what, over the last year we recognize this because, I mean, since you came into office, you've been stating that. Over the last year, we've actually gotten this done. We've actually done this. We've actually found some sort of solution, and we've actually been able to fix this. Even if it's 1 ounce, I would have preferred that rather than you come and repeat to the nation once more the same thing that you repeated over the last year.
Now, to be fair, the minister did present some solutions, but a lot of, however, what even he describes as the root cause of the problem, I don't believe his solutions actually directly address. In fact, he was talking about supply, but with regards to the distribution infrastructure and the corruption in the potential management of the Water and Sewage Authority, those things have yet to be addressed. However, before you continue down your passionate road, let's hear about the current plans, the beginnings maybe of trying to at least supply water, because there are plans to increase the supply in order to try to justify increasing rates. Let's hear what the minister had to say.
And the Water Resource Agency is telling us, based on the latest models, that in the Sangre Grande area, you have the capacity to get 18 million gallons of water. So then why are you depending on North Oropouche? If Sangre Grande alone can produce 18 imperial million gallons of water in central Trinidad, a huge reservoir of water that is holding over 650 million gallons of water, with the capacity to produce 5 million gallons of water on a daily basis, thereby treating with the issues in central Trinidad. Utilizing that approach, a modular water treatment plant can be brought into Trinidad and Tobago in 4 months. And we can get, by October month, 5 million gallons of water. If I get 5 million gallons of water to treat with central Trinidad, and we utilize the same approach, we can get those plants built, constructed. Once you send your water parameters, they will design the plant to treat with the water quality that you have, and they can get me a water treatment plant in Trinidad and Tobago to put in Sangre Grande. It means that the 20 million gallons of water from North Oropouche, as opposed to having to be shared between the extremities of Sangre Grande and Manzanilla and Corial and those places, the 20 million gallons of water can come down the corridor, improving the people's water supply from 3 days a week to close to 24/7 water. And we use the same approach in Grande, we use the same approach in Central Trinidad, we use the same approach in Point Fortin and Chatham, and in Maraval and in Tucker Valley. It means that the water that we have in our aquifers, working with our international partners, we can get about 10 modular water treatment plants and strategically place them around the country to improve the water supply. So if we improve the levels of service across Trinidad and Tobago utilizing the model that I've just spoken to you about, then our rate increase will be more acceptable to the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
So that is the problem. The rate increase right now, WASA's revenue is around 700 million. The expenditure or the cost, particularly a lot of that is labor, is something like 2 to 3 billion. I can't remember off the top of my head. So he's saying, well, we can't do a rate increase if people are not actually even getting water for most days of the week. Now, I don't think he hasn't said what the rate increase is going to be. That's number one. So I'm not sure if it's going to go all the way to pay off WASA's costs. The other thing is, he didn't address some of the problems that he brought up with regards to the aspects of the infrastructure, the maintenance level, as well as the wage bill itself. So hopefully, he's going to tackle the problem at both ends and not just have the wage increase and maybe there's still a shortfall that we have to figure out. It will mean that the desal plant cost, that is an extra significantly higher burden on the water supply. We wouldn't necessarily have to go to them for I think it's 13 million imperial units. But there's also the fact of, yes, we could get these plants in 4 months, potentially, 1 plant every 4 months, but how much does each plant costs.
Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you very much, Sean. You hit the nail on the head right there with everything that you just said. Because simply enough, thank you, Minister of Public Utilities, for presenting and outlining the plans going forward. One, you said, okay, great, we're going to put in these modular plants. You already stated that you've reached out to a Canadian contracting company to sort this out. Could we get more information on this company? Could we get more information on the cost of this project or the estimated cost? How much one of these modular plants are going to be? And why is it that we chose this particular company? I just want that's why I think we deserve that information. Because as much as you say, well, that's not important, we're actually solving the water issues, that is still important. That is taxpayers' money, isn't it? Great, excellent. Secondly, you're putting forward now the proposal of increased rates to the Regulated Industries Commission within the next 2 weeks. But you said, okay, there's not going to be an increased rate until we solve the issues in terms of the water supply. So what's the point of sending it in the next 2 weeks? What is the point of sending it to the RIC within the next 2 weeks? My thing is that you had all throughout the pandemic, when people were in their homes, not only to do roadworks, but to also try and fix some of these problems, because whilst they still continue operations, there's so many leaks. You cannot tell me that we are now going to spend money on building new infrastructure to increase the water supply, when in itself that we still have over 3,000 leaks across Trinidad and Tobago that cannot be fixed right now. What does that tell me? It tells me that going forward, we're spending money on these new things, but how are we going to maintain it if we cannot maintain what is already in existence? So you want to fix the water supply, and I agree with you, people in Trinidad and Tobago need water, but you're putting the RIC on notice, on standby, that in 2 weeks we're coming with proposals for increased rates. Sir, if you look at the timeline of events, and if you look at what you're seeing in terms of going forward, it's not cohesive. And the thing is that you want to fix WASA, but the solution alone cannot just be spending money on these new modular plants. And the solution alone cannot just be RIC. You yourself spoke about the institutionalized corruption that has taken place in WASA over years and years and years. You need to focus on that first. You need to fix that first. Again, I go back. What are the recommendations, the findings and the recommendations put forward in relation to that Cabinet Subcommittee report? Because you came out, and I think you detailed only 2 findings. And I'm sure there was a lot more than that.
So, with this announcement, it's something of an informal setting. It should have been paired with a formal press release with detailed information of all of the questions that you have there with regards to the firm, the price of these plants. All of these things should have been ready to go. Otherwise, don't announce it now. Announcing it now like this, it could be perceived as, well, I need to just, give some people some red meat to chew on, some good news, so that they kind of stay off of our backs with doing something. I'm not poo-pooing the plan. I think the plan has merit, because this is capital asset expenditure, right? This is to now make up for shortfalls, because the argument is we've had construction, but we have not added to our water supply. Fine, this is needed. A lot of people don't have water. However, it does not escape the fact that if you say WASA is being mismanaged and being poorly run, you have to figure that out. Otherwise, you will have similar problems down the road. And this is the problem I have, generally speaking, with how our utilities and infrastructure have been run. Everything has been kicking the can down the road. The problem with these gas subsidies, the fuel subsidies, kick that can down the road. The problem with NIS and the aging population, kick that can down the road. Now, this administration has to deal with all those problems, to be fair. However, how they're doing it and how they're communicating it, I'm less than impressed. And it seems as though they're very, very, very hesitant to make any concrete plans and to announce them, because what if plans change? Or what if people get upset by the plans and then we have to change the plans? And it seems as though our government at multiple levels, because we've seen this, at the local government level as well, does not know how to consult with the population, make plans and communicate the plans effectively, so that the politics of the day doesn't just,
Yeah, my thing is, right, you can't consult with
cause them to back off.
You can't consult with the population for everything. I mean, we have to take a break just now because we have to welcome our commentator. Again, we're taking into their time. But, very quickly, the issue is you're saying producing more water for the nations. Our water reserves have been low for so long, so we try to produce more water.
What we can access.
Right, good. So here is another problem. You're only talking about producing more water, but what about the distribution?
Well,
Distribution goes into this as well.
So part of it is the more water in the system will help with the distribution. We will have less need for pumps, but we will probably still, particularly for people at higher elevation, still need those distribution pumps to be working.
My good friend, the minister himself admitted we're having problems with the infrastructure, the existing infrastructure and the booster stations.
Yes, no. So I'm saying some of it will be alleviated by the extra supply just flowing through the pipes. Some, not all. And to what extent I don't know.
We're saying all this, and yet I'm wearing Wassa colors this morning.
That is true. You know? That is very true. Mr. Duke will be proud.
Not so much Mr. Duke. If I was wearing green, he'd probably be proud, you know. But Wassa colors this morning, Mr. Batiste will be very proud of that, new head of the union.
I mean, so to be fair, he's the new head of the union, so we kind of have to see exactly where he will go. So far, I'm kind of 50-50 on him.
So far, he's the same bite of the same apple as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, folks, let's take a break here on the program. When we return, we will, we have about 10 minutes to talk to our commentator this morning, but nonetheless, that's fine, because the commentator can certainly speak and will speak. Stay tuned to Talking Points here on WESN, the content capital.
Catch the playoffs and the finals of the Dream 11 cricket tournament on Friday from 11 a.m. only on WESN Content Capital, your home for cricket.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you, what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through? Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
Burning questions, urgent topics. Welcome back to One on One, the show where we tackle the most current and pertinent subjects that are affecting all citizens, where we ask the hard questions and have in-depth conversations. What separates One on One from other talk shows is that the conversation stems from a younger perspective on topics that affect the fabric of our society. One on One, Wednesdays at 10 a.m. on WESN Content Capital.
Let your voice be heard. Call Madam Fix It on WESN, the only place that effectively helps you with your woes. Having problems getting onto government agencies, water woes, NIS and pension problems, potholes, and much, much more. Call me, Madam Fix It, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right here on WESN. Let me fix it for you.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sport?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing on it.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is it no pressure on Nicholas Ball?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
Catch the playoffs and the finals of the Dream 11 cricket tournament on Friday from 11 a.m. only on WESN Content Capital, your home for cricket.
It may seem like the hardest thing to do right now, but we all need each other to wear a mask, wash our hands, watch our physical distance, and stay at home. We need you safe. Together we can make the difference. Together we can curb the spread of COVID-19. So let's be responsible in our actions.
The Trinidad and Tobago Red Cross Society. Mission-based,
People focused, community driven.
Welcome back to Talking Points, and we must apologize our contributor for Thursday's Opposition Senator Jayanthy Lushmedial. She is also a practicing attorney at law and was called away on a matter. So we will have to continue on the show without her. However, there is a topic that I do want to get into. Of course, we all believe that COVID is winding down, or we hope so, and there are indicators of that. Right now, the Minister of Health, it seems as though the decision to open up daycares has become slightly controversial, but he explained that they were willing to take the risk because the workers who they wanted or hoped to come out to work, particularly in public sector, they basically said, look, we need this to happen, and they, in their cost-benefit analysis decision, said, okay, I guess we will have to do it. Right now, they say that the cases, the deaths are quite low. It's the lowest that I've seen on a consistent basis for quite some time. The number of cases did jump up in the last couple of days by a few hundred. Now it's around 400 the last 2 days. Now that could be a statistical anomaly.
I wonder why.
However, the hospitalization rates seem to be pretty good. Maybe it will hold and maybe everything will work out. So I guess you could say, look, we do want the economy to continue moving forward, continue to progress. We need people to come out to work. So I can't fault him for the decision as much as it could cause problems down the line, but with Omicron right now, things seem to be okay.
Now, first of all, the Minister of Health, and I must say, he spoke fairly well yesterday. I mean, that was one of his better press conferences, his media conferences on COVID-19 yesterday. Fair enough to him, but of course, this is the same individual that has indicated that he tends to wear large shoes because he suffers very often from foot and mouth disease. Now, yes, the government had to take that decision, and he said he always goes to cabinet first before that approval is put forward. So we assume that on Saturday, after that press conference, between Saturday night and Sunday, they all took a vote via their WhatsApp group. What I'm stating is that it was kind of harsh in the beginning for you to announce on Saturday that daycare centers remain closed.
Yeah.
Babysitters cannot go to work. But then Monday morning, as people were waking up to go to work, they get the news, hold on, you're allowed to operate, right? That's the thing. It goes back again. I am happy for the decision. Don't get me wrong, Trinidad and Tobago. Though I'm very happy for the decision, don't get me wrong, but again, it goes back. I don't know if it's a lack of foresight, I don't know if it's a lack of planning, or we still aren't too sure how we are going to approach reopening. I mean, to a great extent, we've more or less open.
The irony is, as much as the Prime Minister touted trying to get technical experts with regards to the Paria investigation, both on the panel, on the committee, and then now that they're going with the commission, they're going to still get more international experts, right? And he lamented it'll cost more money. But you know what? Fine, maybe it's better this way. But my main thing is, I just wonder, do they listen to their technical experts for the most part, or how much do they? Because I know for communications, for public relations and mass communications, it seems as though either they don't listen to their advisors, or their advisors aren't very good. Because too much of the issues we have with politicians is communication. It goes back to the same thing I said earlier. It seems as though they have a problem with regards to formulating policy and implementing policy without somebody saying, whoa, but what about me? And then they second guess themselves and they have to change the decision or scrap the decision.
Sometimes I feel sorry for the chief medical officer. Because let's just say for a moment that I'm the Minister of Health and you're the chief medical officer.
Yeah.
And somebody from the press asks a question, and it doesn't even have to be a great technical question, right? Oftentimes the Minister of Health is,
no, well, I think that's fine. To me, that's fine. But I think the problem is, and I don't know, I wouldn't put this on the Minister of Health. I think this is how the cabinet functions, right? For better ways, this is how the cabinet functions, and I don't like it.
With all due respect,
because there's too many.
I share in your opinion.
There's too many empty suits in that cabinet.
I share in your opinion, but since we're focusing on COVID-19, I put this on the Minister of Health, because here's another issue.
No, but
if we're focusing on cases, right, that are emanating from primary and secondary schools, COVID-19 cases, Who, in your opinion, should be responsible for tracking these cases?
Yeah, but let's put it this way. With regards to the school reopening, I said it then. I don't think that how that was managed was on Naya Gatsby-Dolly. I thought that was a cabinet thing. I have to be fair here now. He said it himself. The cabinet had to vote to reopen this situation.
Okay, but
the information on COVID did not change for them to change with this decision, huh?
What I'm asking you is that for the cases emanating from primary school and secondary school, who are the ones that should be responsible for tracking that?
That is honestly a good question, because I'm not sure if it should be Ministry of Health or the Ministry of Education.
Well, I still think it should be the Ministry of Health.
Probably, but the Ministry of Education will have more people in place in the schools, obviously, so...
In place in the schools, it is stated in the guidelines that should a case of COVID-19 emanate, or should a student now suddenly appear with flu-like symptoms, that they are taken to the RHA immediately, whether or not it be by ambulance or whatever the guidelines.
Right, but who takes them?
Right, well, that's what I'm stating. The issue with that is, I think they had set aside, actually, they had put aside specifically certain things in place to take them to the RHAs. I can't remember what, and I don't want to misquote now at the top of my head. But when they go to the RHA, again, that's strictly under the Ministry of Health.
Yes, okay,
so
sure.
who records that
data?
No,
but remember, they have to be taken. So the fact that you take them, the school has to record that as well, because they are responsible for the child just overall. So they have to record that we took the child to the RHA.
Great. But as soon as
honestly, both
under COVID-19,
both are involved.
Fair
Just
enough.
because of legal liability, both have to be involved.
Fair enough, but under COVID-19, because I get that, and I mean that's generally practiced even before COVID-19
yes.
in school, right?
Schools
but
knew that. Yeah.
Under COVID-19, now with all these regulations in place and all the talk and this and whatnot, who has overarching responsibility in terms of who has oversight of COVID-19 cases? Because if it emanates from within the school, or even if it emanated within a workplace before, immediately the Ministry of Health, or at least the authorities on that part, were informed. So whilst I understand that the schools and the principals have a role to play as well, who's collating that data? Who's collecting and collating that data?
I think ultimately, though, this is as much an economics question and a labor question as it was a health question. Because it's the labor and economics concerns that pushed the decision through. They wanted the people to be able to work. So again, I understand that yes, COVID and the Ministry of Health are central to the situation, but there were other considerations, and as much as some people don't like the Minister of Health, I would say at least he's not an empty suit. And by empty suit, if anybody watched ESPN back in the day, they would have heard that term. An empty suit is basically people that sit in the corridors of power, in the offices of power, wear nice suits, look good, make decisions, but don't actually really accomplish much of anything.
Ooh, I could think of somebody right at the top of my head. Straight at the top of my head.
I mean, there are a few.
Yeah, but there's one person that instantly comes to mind. Do you know who I'm speaking about?
There's so many, I'm not sure if I'm thinking of the same one.
The individual whom I admire for always having some sort of witty comment.
Oh, the waterman?
Not the waterman, the one who's the racist, selfish, scandalous United National Congress.
Oh, yeah, the waterman. Yeah, that's not the waterman. I don't know. I mean, I guess they could make him Minister of Public Utilities because he would have been running from Wassa.
Oh, Fitzy,
anyway.
Fitzy. We sometimes need that humor.
Yeah, we have to break for news on the hour WES, and stay tuned. When we come back, we'll open up the phone lines.
Seven is out. All day is in. WESN News on the hour.
Every day, we communicate through stories. Stories of ourselves, our challenges, our goals, our experiences, and our aspirations. Storytelling is an art that we have mastered. WESN Film Studios comprises a collaborative team of experts with extensive industry experience locally, regionally, and internationally. The ability of your business to successfully communicate with your preferred audience depends on the strength of the stories you tell. Your vision should be communicated in a high-quality, professional, and creative way. From concept to post-production, advertising to film, multi-camera productions, live events, streaming, and virtual conferencing, we are WESN Film Studio. Let your own unique voice be heard and your vision realized. Call us today at 628-5835 for your next production.
People really want to know, what about me? Where do I fit?
Yes.
What is in the ride for me in terms of a better Trinidad and Tobago? And I'm pleased to shed some light on that.
The purpose of bail is to ensure your attendance at court. That's it. It is not punitive, it is not rehabilitative.
We, the police officers, we are professional and we are here for whenever the survivor is ready to come forward.
We have the right to private and family life, the right to religious freedoms and beliefs and thoughts and expression. But these rights are not absolute. Certain rights can be limited.
The law is to govern the whole, it's for all of us in public.
AM Prime on WESN, the only place from 6 to 7:30 a.m. where you can get the most analytical and thorough interviews and regional reports.
The Barbados Labour Party, led by the Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley, once again able to achieve a clean sweep in yesterday's general election.
I think a lot of people have underestimated the power of Tobago nationalism.
If the government is afraid to say it, I, Martin George, I am saying it this morning on your show, Andy. There will be no carnival before Ash Wednesday.
Grab a cup of coffee and start your day right watching AM Prime with Andy Johnson weekdays from 6 a.m. Only on your content capital, WESN.
Let your voice be heard. Call Madam Fix-It on WESN, the only place that effectively helps you with your woes. Having problems getting onto government agencies, water woes, NIS and pension problems, potholes, and much, much more. Call me, Madam Fix-It, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right here on WESN. Let me fix it for you.
Burning questions, urgent topics. Welcome back to One on One, the show where we tackle the most current and pertinent subjects that are affecting all citizens, where we ask the hard questions and have in-depth conversations. What separates One on One from other talk shows is that the conversation stems from a younger perspective on topics that affect the fabric of our society. One on One, Wednesdays at 10 a.m. on WESN Content Capital.
A reminder from WESN. We urge you to protect yourself and others from the spread of COVID-19. Stay safe by taking some simple precautions. Clean your hands often. Use soap and water or an alcohol-based hand rub. Maintain a safe distance from anyone who is coughing or sneezing. Wear a mask. Don't touch your eyes, nose or mouth. Cover your nose and mouth with your bent elbow or a tissue when you cough or sneeze. Stay at home. If you have a fever, cough and difficulty breathing, seek medical attention. Following the above can help us all to help each other.
All right, let's open up the phone lines immediately. Call in and join us on Talking Points here on WESN 623-9376, 622-9338. Numbers up on the screen. Good morning, caller from Marval.
Good morning, young man.
Good morning.
Morning. First of all, I want you to know that I'm probably one of the only callers that has never been given marching orders by you, because I never speak for longer than I need to. I learned in England, in house debates in university, you précis your conversation. and you don't lay out facts. Everybody knows facts. You give your thoughts on the facts. I want to say one thing. I cannot believe that I have heard you told, Mr. Shearer, there's callers on the phone, please, whatever. And for a person yesterday to call you and then email you and tell you that he thought you were disrespectful and cutting him off. First of all, he was just talking facts about Jim Crow and all this and that, which was never given an opportunity by the listeners for him to state his beliefs. And I think this is so wrong. You had two terrific people speaking on your phone yesterday live. And you should realize that in those debates, we need to set a topic. And you let that caller, well, I will let him know because he's listening. Do not drag on and talk without stating your facts and have the audacity to call. And you tell Michael Small, don't humble yourself, mister. I was one of the first set of callers that used to call in about town and country. Have a good day.
Have a good day, caller. Thank you very much.
What was that last bit?
We didn't get that last bit too clearly. But anyway, good morning, caller from Labrie. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
A very interesting program. You all very interested in nation. But I would like to give my views. What I'm listening to you on WhatsApp, we were never able to fix WhatsApp because those who are creating the problem, the question is you have the lines and them run into the area, but those who have to get the benefit for themselves, they are not putting the water on the line. And as a consequence, the management will be always in trouble. Because when they don't put the water, they want the truckload water to continue. This is a serious problem, Adrian. Look at, for example, the whole of South, the road is in terrible condition. We have the pitch lake there, where the material is just close by, and all the concrete is in a dire disregard to the people who live in the area.
Yeah.
The going to now Petrofin, the guy made a point on it and said he was in agreement with the closure of Petrofin. But the refinery, when you look at what's taking place, the DC Franklin Khan was the deputy commissioner of that international business. The Russian was the head. Today, Dr. William went to Doha on that program. But we have to tell ourselves that these areas, who are the person representing the deputy, down there has been disbanded under the gas and oil. I can know.
Very quickly, caller. We have other callers waiting. Very quickly.
Yes, so as a consequence, who are the deputy of the gas controlling in the world? Franklin Khan, who was the deputy, who are in Trinidad to take that position because Dr. Rowley went to Doha on that last meeting about a week ago.
All right, caller, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to cut you right there. I do appreciate you calling in and making your point, but we do have other callers waiting, and we want to give them a fair chance. Good morning, caller from Tobago.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Hey, good morning, sir. How are you?
Very good.
Good to hear you back on the program.
Of course, I love the program.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, before retiring to bed on last night, I had to, of course, go through my 42 confessions of my acts, make my heart light for the day, and I could not do that because I resolved within myself that I was wrong for jumping the assumption and making the assertion on the program that you gentlemen will be impartial in the way you manage time. You guys are doing a very excellent job. And the reason I call publicly to make the apology is because I publicly made the statement. And that is how we resolve disputes. If you're publicly wrong, you can publicly apologize.
I salute you for that.
Please accept my apology.
apology this morning for the assertion. I do not apologize for my point. I stand on my point.
Of course, that's fine.
I apologize for jumping to the assertion and making that public statement. You guys are doing an excellent job. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, caller.
One thing, caller, before you go, or if you could hear off air, your audio levels, we've noticed there's a bit of distortion or disruptions. I don't know if it's your phone line or your phone receiver or microphone, because some of our listeners also said that it's difficult to understand what you're saying.
But with all that aside, caller, I must salute you for publicly apologizing. We appreciate it, and we always enjoy hearing from you on the program. So thank you very much. That takes great courage, and we look forward to hearing from you again. We're not against your point. We're glad that you're standing by your point and you're firm in it, but we appreciate you calling back to apologize. Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
You too. Have a great day.
An example for actual public figures to follow.
Definitely. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Is my connection...
Hello, good morning, caller from Digger Martin.
Right, good morning. Is my connection good?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Right. I listened carefully to the Prime Minister during his conversation. And what is really a critical issue, he's crying wolf on basically two issues: energy prices and the state of the judiciary and the dispensing of justice. Energy prices, if we're going to feel the pinches because of his decision, but I want to reflect on the justice system, and I'm going to show you and identify areas that is at variance with what he's saying. He's saying for 7 years he's seen that the justice system is not moving. All right, why is that? And I want to focus on the CLICO report. It is sitting 7 years under the DPP. And the DPP has been crying. Every time they ask him about it, he is saying no resources. No resources. So why is the Prime Minister saying he's giving a lot of resources? You know where he's giving the resources? He's misallocating the resources. He's not using it wisely. For example, Gary Griffith asked for resources to investigate the AV. He didn't get it. Gary Griffith asked for resources for vehicles. He didn't get it. This gentleman, what do you call him? Jones, Malcolm Jones. How quickly that went through the system and they pulled it back. ANV, how quickly it went through the system and it went to arbitration. So he trying to pull wool over his eyes. He used the system and he facilitated with what we are experiencing now. No two ways about it. They're asking for people, proper people in the AG's office. Proper, not UNC lawyer, proper lawyers, not PNM lawyers. Put good lawyers to do it. Look at all the statings. EFCL. And they didn't show. They didn't put in a defense. So his hogwash, sorry to use that term, coming in front of all of us to tell us, it doesn't make sense. I'll come back tomorrow on the LG issue. Which is his decision to
appreciate it, caller. Thank you. And thank you for also being considerate with
I'll
the
say
time.
this. Your arguments on the judiciary, I think, are even stronger than the arguments on the energy sector.
And exactly what resources is he speaking of?
Yeah.
Good morning, caller from El Socorro.
Yes, fellas. Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning. We're doing well. We hope you're good.
Yes, man. El Socorro batting again this morning.
Good to hear from you.
Yeah, what's going on? This article, again in the Express, has me absolutely flabbergasted. Yesterday's article. We have this problem of illegal guns coming into the country, correct?
Right,
Yeah, what's going on? Guns discovered at Hoover Warehouse again. Right? And I'm reading this. 1 year after police found a large cache of ammunition in a warehouse in Hoover, officers raided the premises again yesterday and found 15 assault rifles, 2 handguns, magazines. Fast forward. In April last year, police made a similar bust at the warehouse when a few guns and a large quantity of 9mm assault rifles, etc., etc. Here's the last sentence or sentences, people. No arrests have been made in connection with last year's bust and yesterday. What difference is going on in this place? I just don't understand it.
Caller, thank you very much for raising that. It's exactly how you described it, how you were flabbergasted. I can't say the exact word on air, but trust me, I was totally lost out of my mind.
Even if it's the same criminals, you know, they would have to use a different warehouse.
Are we speaking about the justice system? Thank you very much, caller. Have a good day. Good morning, caller from St. James.
Yes, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
I have a little problem in trying to understand that the Prime Minister pulled back the inquiry team.
Yes.
But he instituted now a commission of inquiry.
Right.
What really is the difference?
Because
I remember the Hindu credit union fiasco. Each person that went there went with a lawyer. What really is the difference?
Basically, a commission of inquiry, basically, is just going to be more public. It'll be public as compared to an investigative report. But adding to that, one of the weaknesses, from what I understand, and this is hopefully what we can clip to more with our commentator, is that a commission of inquiry doesn't have the power to subpoena anybody. So if they say, well, we need to talk to this individual, and they choose not to go, I don't see how that's going to work.
Now, the thing is, though, some people did call for it. So, and this could be where...
Because they want it to be more public.
Right. And this could be where the Prime Minister, if it's a bad decision, he's doing it for bad reasons. Whether it's a good decision or a bad decision, he's giving in to demands, not necessarily because it's going to be better. Thank you, caller.
Thank you, caller from St. James. We'll try to clear up more on that tomorrow for you with our commentator.
Yeah, but I think the real thing after listening to the Prime Minister is the fact that you're still going to have to go through the same process of investigating anyway.
We have a call on the line
with regards to the commission
from
inquiry.
Cunupia. Good morning, caller from Cunupia.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Shah. How are you?
Good morning. We're doing well.
Right. So, yesterday I was watching the television, and I was rather amused by the Prime Minister. He has ordered or instructed Stuart Young, the Ministry of Energy, to locate and order electric buses in light of the fact that oil could be going up and the price of transport could get very high in this country.
Yes.
So he's instructed and ordered Stuart Young to find electric buses. And I was rather amused by this because PTSC, which as you know is the government-run public transport, is so inefficient and is so unreliable that punctuality, I don't think punctuality even exists in their vocabulary. And nobody in their right mind could ever rely on PTSC as a reliable mode of transportation in this country.
Yeah.
So by ordering electric buses is not necessarily going to change the inefficiency, the unreliability, and the punctuality of PTSC. So we are going to be burdened as taxpayers with buying these electric buses and having to face the same inefficient culture that we always have done with PTSC.
Yeah.
So I was humored by this. These guys sit down in their ivory towers and make decisions on a whim, and it is rather amusing. Let me ask you something, Mr. Shah. When is the last time you sat down on a PTSC bus to go somewhere?
I choose not to.
When is the last time Mr. Small sat down on a PTSC bus and went somewhere?
I cannot remember, to be honest. I think I have ridden a bus more often in other countries than in my own country.
But caller, I do apologize. We're going to have to end it there because we have other callers on the line.
I do want to respond to him later, but we do have another call
But
first.
later on, we will respond. Thank you, caller. Good morning, caller from Diego Martin.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
Well, I'll be like my underwear, very brief. I just called to congratulate that caller from Tobago.
Yes.
And that is what good men do.
Yes.
Live up to whatever is said wrong and come and clarify it and make their point.
Yeah.
The next thing is I am of the opinion from a long time ago that WASA, no government wants to fix the WASA because of the fact of it's a political business and they get the support from and whatnot. I remember in the 60s, Dr. Alfred made a comment. He said he could give every Trinidad and Tobagonian $1 million and this country would very well off still. And so you see the kind of money that passes this country?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the whole problem. So much corruption, I've been saying all the time, and people, they don't want to fix things. When you reach when they're being cornered, then they try to get themselves out of it by making all kind of comments. Nothing will come out of it.
Nothing.
Thank you and good morning and have a good day.
You too, caller from Digimart. Thank you.
Thank
Once
you.
more to the caller from Tobago. You see, we appreciate that
Yes.
apology. Good morning, caller from San Fernando. Good morning, caller. Hello, good morning.
Caller?
Hello, morning.
Hi, morning.
Morning, you're live.
Yeah, morning, call from San Fernando. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Quick couple of points. I know with time, right?
Yeah.
Every institution in this country, state-owned, has been a failure. WASA, Petrotrin, all these state-owned, Lake Asphalt, because of political interference.
Yeah.
Right? So it would be a blind man could watch and see what has taken place over the years, right? We have one particular political party that has ruled this country for the majority of the years.
Yes.
Right? I am 60 years old. I live in San Fernando. We know we're going to redo Skinner Park after 60 years. I might just get a chance to walk along the park a couple of times.
Don't say
you
that,
know?
caller.
But this is the attitude and this is the non-progressive state of the country, right? I am saying that like Petrotrin, like everything else, WASA, everything, the politics, square pegs in round holes, and this is really taxpayer having to suffer.
Yeah.
You know, after 60 years, people still can't get water in the pipe.
Yeah.
After 60 years, we still can't increase oil production in the country. After 60 years, we sell out Lake Asphalt. So this is poor leadership in this country, and we, ordinary people, have to pay for poor leadership from the top come now.
Yeah.
Have a good day, guys.
You too, caller. Thank you very much. Good hearing from you. Keep well. Good morning, caller from Chigonas.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Professor.
Morning, Professor.
I don't think the problem is you don't give people enough time. I think is after you say you're convinced of something, 2 weeks after you go back to your original position. So this morning I will deal with a few things that I have said before, and it seems to go through one ear and go through the next. The refinery, for example. I pointed out that the reason the refinery was losing per barrel was because of the gas to liquid plant that
Malcolm
Jones and them bring in, and everybody is trying to cover up that.
Yeah.
This was published in the newspaper by a fellow who know what it is. He took out the amount of losses for that plant,
I think it was 3 billion.
and the refinery was quite profitable. Right? We still closing it down. We talk about a new airport for Tobago. When I worked in Tobago, they built a brand new airport. I don't know airports used to have less than 100 years life, and the amount of passengers going to Tobago have gone down.
Oh, no, I don't agree with the airport at all.
Yeah.
By the way, I was just using it as an example.
Oh, no, I just mentioned it.
Yeah. No, but I understand your point on
I
Tobago.
didn't hear you say that. We talk about revenue shortfall, and I have explained this to you numerous occasions that the government makes no attempt to collect the revenue. There is no revenue shortage in Trinidad. Right? It's a failure of government to collect revenue, and the latest step they have done to put up a revenue authority will make it worse, because a revenue authority have no greater powers than the Board of Inland Revenue have. But as any other authority, it is more susceptible to political interference.
All right.
Let me, last point, if I may.
Very, very quickly. Go ahead.
We have a report that the Parliament put out, but nobody could find the technical report. And that is the important thing, because that report have a set of nonsense I can't go through here.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. I'll make a comment. Just like how you told us innumerable times all those things, we will keep raising these points. We will keep raising these points. We had a call on the line from Pitty Valley. We lost that call. A call back in. We have a little bit of time now.
No, we only have 2 minutes, so the next call is the last call if we get one soon.
Right.
But,
good morning, caller from Port of Spain.
Port of Spain.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen, again, to your listeners.
Listen to the phone.
Listen to the phone. Listen to the phone. Yeah.
I'm listening on my phone.
Right. Please go ahead. Make your point.
Gentlemen, please,
you all are getting a little excited.
No, because we are just about out of time.
Okay. Have a great day then. Bye-bye.
All right. Sorry.
Oh Lord, caller, listen.
That was not asking you to leave. It was just explaining why we wanted to hear what you had to say.
You know what happened? I think I heard the echo in the background, so we assumed that you had your television on. You said you were listening through your phone, but we were still hearing an echo. So you probably,
and a delay.
Yeah, so you probably were hearing that echo as well, which in itself kind of affected the phone call.
So, I mean, okay, so that's it for calls. I want to speak with regards to the buses. I think this is an interesting point that we didn't get to.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I agree with him. The PTSC needs a fix, but that is, in a way, to some extent, separate to the issue of the electric buses. I don't know if this is Prime Minister Rowley following Barbados, because they have made that decision recently. I think the idea could be a good idea depending on how it's implemented. And unfortunately, then that comes into what the caller was saying with regards to, but the PTSC is not properly run anyway. So you could have this great idea for electric buses that will help with your gas prices.
First of all,
but that could fall apart because the organization is falling apart.
Forget about, because as you said, punctuality doesn't even stand for the P in the PTSC.
Yes.
Right? PTSC is public and public is never punctual. But adding to that, you're ordering these buses, do we have the infrastructure for these buses? Because
so
first of all,
yes,
as far as I'm aware, right, not only you can't park it up in a regular depot, you have to have a crew that are experienced enough to maintain these buses. This is electric. And secondly,
which means new workers or new training for the workers in the PTSC.
Secondly, these are very expensive. These parts for these buses are very expensive. If you're talking about subsidies and the cost of transport and this and the other, are we really making an investment in purchasing this? No, I agree that we need to try and move away from the oil and gas. But interestingly enough, the entire focus that you have mentioned, Mr. Prime Minister, is on the economy. We don't have the infrastructure. Do we have the money to maintain these buses if we do eventually get the infrastructure? Do we have the expertise? Or are we going to spend years on training?
But more than that, so in theory, it's supposed to save you in the long run from variable costs, but it's going to be a heavy capital expenditure, especially since, as you point out, we have to make infrastructure for them. Do we have the money for that? No. Right? So again, I think it could be a good idea, but the implementation, can we afford it right now? And honestly, the savings will be in the long term. The savings will not necessarily be now.
And that in itself, Sean, may be the argument why the government says we're going to buy the bullets and do it now, because in the long term, it'll save us.
No, but later on the line, the technology being more widespread, it might be cheaper and easier. So, it's that as well. A lot of green things are not that cheaper. A lot of electric things are not that cheap.
Countries have spent years on investing in these things.
And it's still not cheap.
And we're only doing it now. Anyway, folks, that's where we end the program. Thank you very much to all our callers for their contributions this morning. To all those who called in and didn't get the opportunity, we do apologize. Time is always limited. Call in tomorrow. We look forward to everybody making their contribution. But for now, I'm Keaton Shaw. That's Mr. Sean Michael Small. Good program.
I mean, I just want to say, people, what the caller said, the government does not want to have to intervene in these public entities. They have to. And I think that should be a wake-up call for a lot of us with regards to the state of our country when we can't afford the corruption anymore.
Too little, too late sometimes, I'd say, because history shows and our attitude, our mindset, and our solution is shut it down. TTT, CNMG, TTT again. BWI to Caribbean Airlines. What happened to Carney? Petrotrin, we now import. We created 2 companies. How much is that costing us? We're importing. Folks, I don't have much time anymore anyway. So we'll see you again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.